Top 10 ridiculous laws that are still enforced across the world.
Germany has over 82 million people, which is about a quarter of the population of the United States. Yet it is just 3.7% the size of the US. This means that Germany has lots of people crammed in very limited space. One of the consequences of having too many people in a small space is noise. Lots of noise. To counteract this, Germany introduced Ruheziet. Ruheziet, meaning rest time, determines certain times of the day when people are expected to not make noise. The time varies from state to state but is generally from 8:00 p.m. until 6:00 a.m. the next day. Some states also observe Ruheziet between 1:00 p.m. and 3:00 p.m. every afternoon. However, all states observe Ruheziet during the whole of Sundays and public holidays. Noise is strictly forbidden during Ruheziet. No one is allowed to mow their lawns, rev their cars, play loud music, or even use the washing machine if they live in an apartment. Ruheziet has led to some very interesting legal issues. When one neighbor complained that the frogs in his neighbor's pond disturbed him at night, the court decided that frogs are a part of nature and that the disturbed neighbor should get earplugs. When another complained that his neighbor's dog barked too much, the court ruled that the dog should bark for no more than 30 minutes a day. In Singapore, connecting to someone else's Wi-Fi hotspot without permission could bag you 3 years imprisonment and a fine of Singapore dollars. The law is part of Singapore's Computer Misuse and Cybersecurity Act, which considers such behavior as hacking.
In 2006, 17-year-old teenager Gerald Angiowo became the first person to be arrested and prosecuted for using someone else's Wi-Fi without permission.
He was not sent to prison because he was underage. Instead, he got 18 months probation, part of which he was to spend at home. He was banned from using the internet while the probation lasted. The judge stated the ban was necessary because Garel was also addicted to the internet and online gaming.
Tennessee has a law forbidding residents from sharing their Netflix passwords with anyone. The law does not apply only to Netflix but to every entertainment site that requires subscription. The law is somewhat ironic, since Netflix allows users to share their passwords with up to 4 people. The law is not a new one. It is actually an update of an already existing law to prevent cable TV subscription theft. Unsurprisingly, the update was backed by the Recording Industry Association of America, which was concerned with people illegally sharing music. While the law is targeted at hackers who sell Netflix login details and subscribers who send their logins to too many people, legislators agree that innocent users can be arrested for breaking the law. Offenders who used up $500 worth of the service could be slammed with a $1 fine and a year of imprisonment, while offenders who go above $500 will get more serious penalties.
If there is one place people are most likely to get drunk, it is a bar. So it is somewhat ironic that Alaska passed a law banning people from getting drunk in bars. The law was introduced after the state government realized drunks committed the majority of crimes in Alaska. Alaskan cops took to enforcing the law in 2012. Plainclothes police officers visited random bars to find drunk patrons. Once they suspected someone was drunk, they called other cops to make the arrest. Bartenders weren't spared either, since they could also be arrested for selling alcohol to a drunk person. Since there is no way of certifying that someone was drunk, cops only arrested people who were vomiting, falling off stools, or just plain constituting a nuisance. Chewing gum has been banned in Singapore since 1992.
The ban was part of the policies introduced by Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew to turn Singapore into a first world country.
The law was passed because people were fond of sticking their chewed gum on pavement and train doors. This often created problems, especially on the train doors. During an interview with Lee in 2000, Peter Day of the BBC mentioned that chewing gum could promote creative thinking. Lee stated that chewing gum was nothing short of an act of mischief. He added that anyone who felt he could not think or be creative without chewing could just chew a banana. Singapore relaxed the ban in 2004, when the government permitted pharmacists and dentists to sell medical chewing gum. This means chewing gum lovers need a medical prescription to buy gum. However, tourists are allowed to bring limited amounts of chewing gum into the country for personal use.
In 2012, the government of Greece introduced Public Health Decree 39A, a controversial law that permits the police to arrest people on suspicion of being HIV positive and test them against their will.
Anyone found positive will have their pictures and personal details published in the newspapers. They can also lose their jobs and be evicted from their homes without warning. The law was passed in 2012, after Greece witnessed a spike in new HIV infections. Between 2011 and 2012, it experienced a 200% increase in new HIV cases. The spike was believed to be the result of massive unemployment, drug abuse, and a cut in the budget for HIV prevention programs. However, the government preferred chasing shadows instead of solving the problem from the root. In 2012, police rounded up hundreds of women and tested them. 17 tested positive. The government published their details and pictures in the papers and on the internet. The government added that they were prostitutes, even though there was no evidence to prove such. Even if there was, it was unethical. In November 2010, Frenchman Stéphane Sage was hours away from tying the knot with his Hong Kong girlfriend, Manson Massachusetts, also called Mandy, when his parents ruled against the marriage.
Sage's parents were able to cancel the wedding because of an old French law passed in 1803 that allowed parents and grandparents to overrule the wedding of their children and grandchildren.
Originally, Sage's parents claimed they opposed the marriage because Mandy was only marrying their son to gain French nationality. In court, they claimed Mandy was a Chinese spy. The court determined that Sage could marry Mandy, since his parents had no tangible reason for opposing the marriage.